love, light, and blessings. This is Shamanic Iraq Priestess here. I know, 2 videos in a row. Yay! How are you guys? Welcome back. Yesterday I felt like it was a video, but it wasn't a video. So welcome to the new direction of my channel. I'm really excited now. I have like a new fire under myself because I'm making content that I'm excited about. So welcome to episode 1 of the Conjurer's Chronicles. And I wanted to make this video that is in inspiration of something I wanted to make before, but it was confirmation under one of my members' videos. They were talking about altars and how a lot of content that's made about Orishas is really made from a perspective of non-initiates. And, you know, representation matters, guys. Representation matters. And so they kind of really don't trust that content because, again, it's made by non-initiates. And one of the things they touched on, I'm going to light an incense here. Just had my second cup of joe, like they say in the United States. I say café con leche, azúcar. So coffee with milk and sugar. Brown sugar, that's my favorite. So I have a lot of energy. So yeah, this is episode 1, and it's going to touch on altars. Altars. Should you or shouldn't you? As a non-initiate, so someone who is not initiated. And this is going to be talking about not just anything. This is going to be talking about when it comes to Orishas. Maybe you're not interested in Orishas. Maybe you're interested in Loas. Loas is more voodoo or anything like that. So closed traditions, okay? Should you build an altar to spirits of a closed tradition if you feel that you're called to practice that? So should you or shouldn't you? So that's what's going to be the topic of this video. Before I get into that, I gotta pay bills now. If you want a one-on-one reading with me, I'm a full-time reader. I also do rituals, aka spell work. So if you're interested in any of those services, shamanicawakpriestess.com, the link to my website where you can book my readings or rituals. Shamanicawakpriestess.com is in the description box of every one of my videos. So you can click on that and book my services. Also, you can become a channel member. And that's also available in the description box below. Okay, so that's out of the way now. Let's get to the video. So the Conjurer's Chronicles, episode 1, altars. Okay, that's the topic at hand. So the question is, should you set up an altar as a non-initiate? Okay, so things to keep in mind. Okay, closed practices. What are they? Okay, first of all, let's talk about the elephant in the room. And I'm not going to spend too much time talking about that because I kind of want to make a video that does not lose attention span. I don't want to go on a whole tirade. I've talked about this topic so much already. You have to also think about culture appropriation. I've exhausted that topic already. Okay, please do not be a culture vulture. Okay, do not be a culture vulture. So keep that in mind. Are you culturally appropriating somebody else's culture from a marginalized culture? Okay, so we're specifically talking about African traditional religious practices, especially of the diaspora. Okay, so yeah, if you're not part of that culture, are you being a culture vulture? Are you truly being called, or are you following a popular TikTok trend and all that kind of stuff? So ask yourself that question if you're someone that's outside of the culture. And even if you have an ethnic or racial background, so if you're not being a culture vulture, or if you're someone that's actually from the culture, this is another thing to keep in mind, right? Keep in mind that these are closed practices, okay? So what are closed practices, all right? So let's say you are somebody outside of the culture and you have a genuine calling, right? So let's say you're someone outside of the racial background, right? There's still a respectful way that one would go into practicing this. And then another thing, let's say you are from the ethnic and racial background, right? We have to keep in mind that these are closed practices. So there's a certain way that one would go about setting up an altar, okay? So those 2 things, keep in mind. Cultural appropriation, closed practices. You know, what are these things, okay? All right, so closed practices. The definition of a closed practice is, okay, a closed practice is practices that are closed to an ethnic or racial group, okay? Closed to a racial or ethnic group of a certain ethnic or racial background. Okay, so you have to be born into these practices. For those people that are not born into these practices, I was born into these practices, right? And I'm also part of the ethnic and racial group. For those people, let's say because some people, even if they're from the ethnic or racial group, they're not necessarily born into it. So then comes the initiation, right? And some people who aren't part of the ethnic or racial group, sometimes they can have a calling. They also would be required to be initiated, right? Okay. So if you're not part of the racial or ethnic group, if you're not born into it, then a lot of times you have to be initiated into it, right? So that answers the question. You cannot set up an altar watching a YouTube video, okay? So a lot of these content creators are like, hey, watch my video. This is how you set up an altar, blah, blah, blah. It's going to be controversial. You should not be watching a how-to set up an altar. They're asking me this question. That's not a reliable source. A lot of the content on YouTube that's teaching you how to renovate orishas and laws and all that stuff, that is not how you do it, okay? It is what it is, and it is what it's not. A lot of these people who are selling spells and stuff are not legit practitioners, because you cannot learn how to do that stuff on a YouTube video. I do not watch any of that content, never have watched any of that content. I do not follow any of these people. It is what it is. I have never learned anything. I have not read any books. 95% of the books and authors are from non-initiates. It is what it is. It's why I created a membership. I have invested in things. Sorry about that. I have invested in books and all of that, so I can decipher from legit and non-legit people. But yes, you cannot learn how to set up altars. And to answer your question, as a non-initiate, you cannot just go and set up altars. Even if you are from the ethnic and racial background, if you were not born in the tradition and you're not initiated in a tradition, you cannot just set up an altar randomly. And the reason being is because it's actually dangerous. It's not because people are trying to gatekeep. It's because a trickster spirit can go into a statue like this. If you're not properly trained, so if you're not a mambo or hugan and you're trying to set up a loa or a loa, statue, or in this case, I want to buy a lama dama statue. If you're not someone who's initiated into a tradition that works with her, and you don't do certain things properly, something that's not her spirit can enter this. And now, and I've done this so many times, a spirit that's actually not her can enter in it. Okay? So you have to use spiritual discernment, okay? They are people that are initiated and well-trained and well-versed, okay? So as a non-devotee or as a non-initiate person, you have to go to someone who's well-versed in the religion. You cannot go to a non-initiate person on Etsy, just buy some random statue, bring it home, and just start giving it offerings. This statue has to be prepared. It has to be fed, prepared, and all that things. So you would have to go in person. You cannot just order this off Etsy or online or whatever and then just start working with it. You have to have someone prepare it for you. Okay, so for me, okay, because that may not be, something that you can do, right? We have to accommodate too. I have taught people ways to prepare statues as a non-initiate, and that you can do too. You can go to a spiritualist, right? My case, I'm a mambo, right? I'm also, they are female, so a lot of people always talk about babalaos. There are female babalaos. They're called iyawos, okay? And that is a female babalao, santeras, things like that. You can go to them too, and they can teach you a way to prepare your statues, bless them yourself, that kind of thing. Or they can do it for you, so that you can welcome in the spirit yourself, and you can do that as well. I have taught people how to prepare things themselves. And the reason why that could be necessary is because there's a lot of very not so good practitioners these days that, they'll go into the back of a botanica and they'll be like, yeah, I'm going to prepare your statues. And they'll put malicious spirits in there. So you have to use spiritual discernment as well to make sure that the people you're working with are ethical, you know? And so my spirits were like, you can do this type of ritual, teach people how to do this type of ritual where like the right spirits are coming in. But I also do prepare statues for people if they are to physically visit me, and I have, and I do make available if you guys are interested, and that would be more of a, mail-in service. That is something that I have done and will do if you guys are interested in, and that will be more of an elite botanica service, and it's on my website, of preparing statues, that is prepared and shipped to you. That is a thing where I put the spirit in it, you know what I'm saying? But I can also teach you how to do it yourself, but I can also do more of that, what I do it myself for you. That is a service that I do offer, okay? It is going to cost you, but it is a thing that I do, and so on and so forth, because you have to make sure that the right energy and spirit is infused. I do offer mentorship stuff to teach people how to do altars, because that's what the elders do. In order for you to set up altars as a non-initiate, you have to be under the mentorship of an elder. And I've done that. I've taught people how to feed statues, because you can set up altars. You can and do that. You can do that. You can prepare a statue, and stuff like that. I was taught to do those things by an elder. I have taught people how to do those things, but you can only do those things under the mentorship of an elder. You understand what I'm saying? That is what a padrino, a madrina, that's what they do. Those things are taught orally. You know what I'm saying? Because the thing is, everybody focuses on the end result, which is the initiation. But before the initiation happens, the mentorship has to happen. You know that whole saying, a year and a day? That is traditionally what your padrinos are for. When I was initiated into Santeria, when I was initiated into Voodoo, I was under the mentorship of my godparents. They taught me how to prepare statues. That's what I teach the people that are under my mentorship. I teach them how to do that in sessions. I'm like, this is how you feed your statues. This is how you set up your altars. I do mentor people in my sessions because all of that knowledge is lost. So unless you're under an ethical elder, you should not be learning that from YouTube. I teach people those things. I teach you the appropriate offerings. I teach people how to do traditional rituals. All those things, because it's the mentorship. The mentorship under a certain amount of appropriate time and the rituals that you do to appease the spirits in said sacred space. And then when those basic things are learned, then it's followed with the initiation. Because the initiation is just a ritual. Without the basic knowledge in how to build the relationship with said spirits and all of that, the receiving of the spirits means nothing. A lot of people receive spirits, but then once the godparents get the money for the initiation and ritual, a lot of people come to find out that their initiation and them receiving the spirits was meaningless, because one, it was incomplete, and they don't even know how to do anything with the spirits once they receive it. Okay, so the very simple answer is no, you should not be setting altars if you're not an initiate. The only way you should be doing that is under the mentorship of an elder who someday, if the spirits co-sign to it, will be your padrino or madrina. The people that I have mentored, the people that I do mentorship with and all of that, I have a bigger plan. I do offer like a la carte mentorship, because someday I am going to take on godchildren. Okay. A lot of people are like, oh, I would love for you to be my godmother. I do take that into consideration. I'm like, I know. And one day when everything sets a line, I will be taking on godchildren. It's the reason why I have a coven. You don't think that the people that are in my coven, I don't take that into consideration, that when I'm in that place where I'm like, yeah, I'm going to take on God kids, you don't think I'm thinking like, if things align, like those people are not going to be, if they're wanting that to be my godchildren under that thing. You don't think I'm thinking that? Yes, of course I am, because hey, you want to be my God kids? I know you, because my God kids are going to be people I interact with every day. Because at the end of the day, my God kids are not going to be dollar signs. My God kids are going to be people I want to have around me every day. Like, you going through stuff, I'm going through stuff, because I grew up in the old school. Like, your God kids are family. Like, your God kids should be people that you can sit down in a meal with. Your God kids should be people that you want to be around all the time. Like, they should be like your extended family. That is how these traditions are practiced. Your God kids shouldn't be people you get a bunch of money from. Like, yeah, you're going to charge for the initiation, but your God kids aren't supposed to be people you just get money from and you never see them every day and they just a credit card number. That is not how these traditions are practiced. Again, your altars and the way you feed spirits and the way you set up stuff should be done under the guidance of your elders that maybe someday will become your godparents. But that is how a non-initiate can set up altars. Not watching a YouTube video, not reading a chapter in a book. It should be done under the guidance of an elder that is trusted, that you are making sure is an actual true initiate of a tradition. So I do have services set up for those types of things. And I do teach people how to set them up appropriately, because if they're not set up appropriately and they have the wrong offering, you risk a trickster spirit or some type of malicious spirit coming in. And I have done so many rituals and things because people have very demonic or very occult, very malicious spirits that come in. Like, at first they're like gentle and nice, and then all of a sudden they're intrusive and they're like haunting their children, or they're hurting their children, scratching people, and then they think the religion is evil. But it's not that the religion is evil, it's that you unintentionally let something in that's not that spirit. It's something of a evil, darker, malicious intention. It's not the representation of the statue we're trying to let in, if that makes sense. So you have to be careful with anything spiritual that you're trying to let in your house. So it's better to do it under the mentorship of someone reputable and trusted. So, and a non-initiate should not be teaching a non-initiate how to set up altar, okay? With any religion and with anything spiritual, you should be very careful. So all these little tutorials about, saging stuff and just setting it up and feeding it crystals, right away you see people feeding it crystals and doing weird stuff to it, like right away, or a Buddha statue next to this and that, and delete the video. All right, so hopefully that was helpful. Much love, much light, much blessing. So the first thing you should do if you feel a spirit is calling you, get a reputable practitioner, have a reading done to see if that spirit is even in your spirit court, and then start going under the mentorship of someone who's actually initiated in the religion, and they can help you set up altar. I do readings like that all the time. If you don't like me, find somebody reputable. But yeah, so hopefully that's helpful. If you want a reading with me on one-on-one, shamanic@priestess.com. Bye guys. Thank you so much for watching episode 1 of your Conjurer's Chronicles. And hopefully you enjoyed this video. Please like, please subscribe, and please comment below and let me know your thoughts on this video. Bye.